I'm finally on a black comedy show and I didn't dress up. What is wrong with me? I'm so mad. I have a purple shirt and everything. So, I mean that as a compliment. I am from Philly. I just got back from Philly yesterday. Philly is hilarious because it's always like, we're a city. And you're like, I always take the Chinatown bus. I don't know if you guys know about the Chinatown bus, but it's the safest way to travel. By the way, Chinatown, when I first moved to New York, I hated Chinatown. I couldn't stand it because, first of all, it always smells like, what's the word I'm looking for? Chinatown, all the time. And no matter what season it is, it's 95 degrees and humid in Chinatown. I don't know how they do it, but it's disgusting there all year round. And they don't have any rules. You know how, like, we have rules, like if you're walking down a sidewalk and somebody's walking in your spot, you both do that awkward dance to get out of each other's way? They don't know that rule. They just walk right into you. They don't care. Because where they're from, it's so crowded, they just walk into each other all the time. And only in America are we like, oh, other people are gross. So I used to hate it, but now I love Chinatown. Chinatown is my favorite part of New York because Manhattan is only banks and delis now. That's all Manhattan is, but Chinatown is lawless. There are no rules in Chinatown. If you see a police officer in Chinatown, he doesn't want to see you either. He's there doing bad stuff too. And I literally think you could drag a body on a tarp into Chinatown and 4 dudes would run up and be like, $10! And you're like, wait, am I giving you $10 or are you giving me $10? By the way, if you're not from around here, if you're from the middle of the country or whatever, Chinatown, let me just tell you what it is. It's when a bunch of Chinese people come to your city and they look around and they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And they just build China in the middle of your city. And everybody that already lived there is like, I guess we'll buy fish. There's no rules on the bus. You're not on American soil inside that bus. You're on Chinese soil inside that bus. And there's no rules. Like, one rule I'm familiar with growing up is if you put your stuff in a seat, that's your seat now. But I got on a bus one time, I put my stuff in a seat, I went and got a coffee. When I came back, there was a dude sitting on my stuff. And I was like, that's my seat. And he was like, I don't think it is. And I was like, oh, you know what's going to happen now, right? I'm going to tell. So I went and got the bus driver. That's how we do. I bring him back. I bring the bus driver back, who doesn't speak English, but what, hand motions. And I'm like, this dude's on my stuff. This is my seat. And he looks at the guy and he looks at me and he goes, fight! And I was like, what? All of a sudden, all these old Chinese dudes are throwing money around and yelling in Chinese. I was in an underground martial arts tournament to the death for a window seat. I could keep going, but I don't want to do all 12 minutes on Chinese people. It's weird. Unless you're cool with it. Just kidding. 2 tables of white people is not enough to keep going. I'm not stupid. I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I'm not being funny right now. I almost died recently, for real. My appendix burst inside my body, which, if you don't know, is the worst place. And it's weird that your appendix bursts, right? It's the only organ in your body that doesn't even have a job to do, but it's the first one to be like, forget this. And your other organs are like, seriously? You're the one that had it up to here? I have organs in my body that have had every right to walk off the job years ago due to unfair working conditions. My liver has been pumping poison out of my body for years with a smile on its face like a migrant worker just happy to have a job in America. Meanwhile, My appendix is like some spoiled NYU kid that can't believe it has to work a goddamn day in its life. And my liver's like, hey, appendix, you want to help us out? And my appendix is like, my dad owns like... My appendix definitely wears Uggs. That's my theory. I had to make up that story for myself because doctors still don't know what makes our appendix burst. Did you know that? In 2011, doctors still don't know why it happens, which is crazy. It's 2011. We can send people to Mars, probably. Don't look it up. And we have no idea why our appendix burst. I came out of surgery. I was like, doctor, why did my appendix burst? And he was like, I don't know, but it sucked, right? And I was like, I don't think you're a doctor. They don't let you leave right after surgery. Did you know that? I was in the hospital for 7 days, so I was tired of it. And I was like, doctor, I really want to go home. And he was like, you can't leave until you have a bowel movement. And I was like, this is the weirdest standoff I've ever had in any relationship. Did you know that? They won't let you leave the hospital until you do that? How do they get women to leave the hospital ever? I've lived with a girl. She's never done that. 7 days in the hospital, emergency surgery, no health insurance. Anybody here need to know how that goes? $45,000. Yeah. And I found out because I went home and then I got a bill in the mail for $45,000 in the mail with the other mail. Like it was just more mail. Except it was a bill for $45,000 in a white envelope like all the other envelopes. That should not come in a white envelope. That should come in a black envelope with a skull and crossbones on it. And when you open it, a picture of your hopes and dreams falls out and bursts into flames because now you owe the hospital $45,000. My friends had all kinds of great financial advice. They were like, don't pay it. What are they going to do? Put your appendix back in? Which sounded like a good idea, so I looked it up, and in some countries, they will put your appendix back in. Yeah, well, I'm just kidding, but whatever country you thought of, you're racist. But I couldn't go through with it. I got to pay them back because they saved my life. I was going to die and they saved my life, so I got to do it. I'm paying them back $20 a month. And if they ever want to see $45,000, they just got to make sure I live to be 657 years old. So balls in your court, Beth Israel Hospital.